canyon that's going on here. But yeah, start spot wise, I assume this is a good start spot. This area is probably not the best because you don't have too many metal expansions. And it looks like a spelt Dutch is having some issues loading in, which is kind of a shame. We'll have to see if we have to rehost that one. Okay, false alarm. So now it's just waiting for players. Ooh, this is one I haven't seen. So you have these depressions that are generally just a way for bots to traverse or something like that. But this one is actually filled with water. That's actually the first time I've ever seen that. Procedurally generated plants always give something new to look at. Okay, and our players have actually spawned now. So we have Superouman and Marshall that are spawning here and here. So pretty far apart on opposite sides of this lake here, or ocean, I don't know what you want to call it. And then we have Icepelt Dutch, who one of them is spawning here, and the Baffled by Life, who is spawning here. So it's still gonna be a while before these players actually meet each other. It's kind of funny that both players are actually spawning quite far away from their teammates, and yeah, they're about as close to their opponents as they are to their teammates. So you might see some one-on-one action going on across the planet. Although this canyon is preventing any immediate harassment between these two guys, especially if they make some defensive building around this area. Then it's probably gonna end some early harassment. It's not gonna go through. Maybe bots might be able to pass by this canyon, I'm not entirely sure. This canyon here as well, pretty much preventing any harassment between these two bases, or these bases, especially again if you block this off. So we'll just have to see how this goes. And the first thing to go around the planet is a firefly. This base is immediately going to be spotted. Don't see any fireflies just yet for Baffled by Life and Icepelt Dutch. Or, yeah, I don't see any fireflies for them. I do see an air factory going down now. No air factory up around this area, so it's bots factories mainly, and we have a raider as well who's probably gonna try and spot anything that might try and harass, and any bases that might be nearby, but there are none of those. Second firefly now taking off, and there's also a hummingbird in the air, probably to try and prevent any bombing runs that might go on early on in the game. So yeah, since these players did spawn quite far apart, there's not going to be too much going. Oh, this bomber did get a nice bomb off on that Faber. Nice bumblebee play there, taking out the first expanding engineer, so that he has to build another and get back on that. Do we have more of those guys being built? Yeah, we have another bumblebee on the way, so we might actually see some harassment. Same thing going on here. So Superman and Marshall actually taking an early lead by, ooh, and yet another by taking out those early Fabers, which is really frustrating for Icepelt Dutch and Baffled by Life. That's something they do have to counter, but can't immediately do. I would like to mention that Baffled by Life and Icepelt Dutch is actually Team Callisto, so blue is Team Callisto. And then we have Team Superouman, which is Marshall and Superouman. Or Marshouman, I don't know. It's weird team names going on. Yeah, it's Marshouman. That's apparently the team name. We have a first advanced bot factory going down for that team as well. It's pretty early in the game to be doing that, but considering they took down quite a number of Fabers early on and they didn't get attacked in return, they might as well do that. This bomber might actually do it again. Yeah, took out this particular Faber. I was trying to go for that missile turret. Might even take out this one if the... Ooh, nice dodge there. This bomber is really trying to get on top of that, but it just doesn't have the turning circle to do that. And just by moving this Faber 2 steps, he actually prevented that bomber from dropping a bomb on him. Although it might just happen now. Yeah, it's probably gonna happen. Yeah, it did happen. Bomber did go down, but sadly so did the Faber. Quite a bit number of assists already going down on the advanced bot factory. And it looks like Giggle is being bored and looking in as well, which is very nice of him to do that. More so than that, the bot factories being even... No more assists are going on. Still the 3 Fabbers that are doing that. Advanced bot factory now going down as well for the Callisto team. Sadly for the Callisto team, their economy is in somewhat poor shape due to that early bumblebee harassment that was going on. They're not that far behind and they still have a surplus, but it's not as ideal a situation to be in as the Superouman and Marshall team is. Some pelter play around this canyon could also be quite useful for taking out any metal spots. We also have a single docks for the Superouman Marshall team that is working on these metal extractors. And they're sending out their own Fabber to actually claim those. So even more harassment that way. This is really difficult terrain, so some turrets around the edges might actually prevent any army from going through and doing some damage. And we even have a single docks working along this area as well, so being really effective by splitting up those docks and letting them work slowly on these metal spots, they are doing really well. We also have the advanced air factory that's being produced now. The advanced bot factory has finished. We have ghillie bots on the field. And not a single advanced Fabber bot, which is an interesting choice. Generally people make at least one of those so they can get the eco advantage, but in this case they are going straight for the ghillies. Might be trying to rush the game to an end by sniping the commander of the enemy team. Bot factory for the Callisto team now nearly done. It's about 3/4 done and they are assisting it rather heavily, so it's not going to be too long before it is done. Another bomber moving out, but it's probably going to run into this missile turret. Although it did take out the Fabbers once more, which is really frustrating for the Callisto team. Let's actually check the amount of Fabbers in this game. So the Callisto team has only 19, well now 20, and there's 34 for Marshall and Superouman. So due to that harassment, ooh, there's a number of scouts, a few AA guys, and those ghillies moving out. So this turret is probably not going to be any threat really. Even that turret is not going to be, because ghillies can snipe those at range since they have plenty of scouts to actually spot those. They do know about this particular troop going in because they're obviously building turrets to counter this. But again, as long as you keep those ghillies at range, that's not going to be too much of an issue. And let's actually check the vision. Yeah, they know about the first turret, they don't know about anything else that's behind it. So they are now moving around this area. They see the other turrets. First turret is being sniped. Commander is now in range for snipes as well. Commander is being repaired. Is probably going to try to take this out. If he kites properly with those ghillies, he might do quite a bit of damage against Commander. Commander is firing at the scouts, but the scouts is not the thing you want to be fighting at. Ghillies, defensive ghillies are now moving out here as well, but they don't have the advantage of the radar. Although they do probably have a radar in the base. Let's actually check. Yeah, they know about everything that's moving around here, so those ghillies are trying to counter. But I don't know if they know about the scouts. Yeah, the ghillies are now being counter-sniped by the ghillies of the Marshall team. And yeah, it's pretty much a stalemate. There's more ghillies coming in here, but snipes are going down left, right, front, and center. Reinforcements are on the way, but these don't contain any ghillies. We do have an advanced Fabber now on the field, so we might see some play with catapults or Hulken's artillery going down. Commander is now being repaired because it took quite a number of sniper shots. Ghillies are withdrawing. We have yet another advanced bot factory going down, and this advanced bot factory could potentially try and snipe this commander. This commander is also not doing anything. The advanced bot factory is being worked on. We also have the advanced air factory now under construction. But it's going to be a while before those guys are done. It looks like we have a few Fabbers moving out. These Fabbers might actually just reclaim the metal extractors and build their own on top of it. We nearly have the advanced bot factory done. It's about 3/4 done. The advanced air factory is still going to take ages. Oh, nuke is now being produced, and that's the first nuke in the game that is being produced. And since there is already an advantage for Team Superouman and Marshall, they might as well try and get that. It's pretty unlikely they're going to be assaulted anytime in the near future, because they have quite a bit of map control. And the only things that could potentially be a threat are the ghillies that are being produced here. but they don't have them in large enough quantities to really be a threat. Yeah, I'm looking around. I don't really see what could be done. We also have the pelter being constructed to lock down this area. We now have a number of bumblebees moving out to try and harass. Yeah, those ghillies have not been escorted, so they can turn around and easily drop some bombs on those, and that's the end of that ghillie assault. Maybe a single ghillie, if he sidesteps properly, might survive, but he does not do that and goes down quite easily. We also have a number of ghillies moving out here to probably try and prevent this assault from taking place. But do they have the vision? There's a radar here. Is that enough? We'll check. Yeah, it is enough. These ghillies actually know exactly where they need to be aiming their shots. They have now been spotted by the radar of the opponents. Opponents are moving in. Ghillies are now firing, but they're mainly firing at the scouts, and the scouts are not real threat. They want to be firing at the enemy ghillies. Yeah, and this assault is now shut down, but the bombers come in! Although the bombers did not do all that much damage. Ghillies are now trying to be more aggressive, but the advantage is definitely for Team Callisto at this point. And it looks like he seems to be retrying, but obviously they can get around this little crack here, so that's another angle of assault that they could potentially exploit. Now going for the main assault angle, they are going back here, although the ghillies are again moving into position to counter that strike, so constant back and forth trying to keep those both places locked down. The nuke is now already 1/4 finished, and there is still no countermeasure in sight for that nuke unless a counterattack can actually take place. The number of ghillies is definitely favoring Marshall and Superman in this engagement. Even though there's turrets here, but the turrets are completely useless against ghillies. And we have quite a number of bumblebees moving in here as well to try and make something happen. There's plenty of AA though to actually deal with those, so they did do some drops, but they didn't really take anything out. And reconsidering is not sending that against his defensive line, he's actually sending it against the metal that's pretty much undefended, which is a good choice. He might as well be doing that. We even have an orbital launch pad coming on. You assume he's gonna try and get some kind of radar in orbit so he can properly aim those nukes once they go up. And another troop of ghillies moving out. It's mainly sniper wars going on, as far as I can tell. Let's actually take a look. Yeah, Team Callisto, they have about the same amount of factories, they're one behind, but the amount of fabrics is totally favoring Team Superouman and WPMarshall. Although they have slightly more combat units, I don't believe they have the advantage in ghillie numbers, which is currently what all this game is about. With some advanced air, they might actually try and go for some bombers, or even better, gunships, and those gunships might prove to be quite lethal. We did see some kestrels coming in here, and there's also some pelters being produced to actually be aggressive. We also have some more kestrels and the anti-air fighter spare queens here to try and be aggressive with them, but they're pretty much sitting at range, letting snipers do work. They are now moving in, probably taking out... They're not going for the commander, are they? They could potentially go for the commander if they wanted to, I think. But they don't seem to be doing that, no, they seem to be mainly working on the power. Ghillies now trying to get out of the docks range, sniping them while they retreat. But when the combination of these ghillies and the kestrels, they could potentially take out commander, because the commander does not have that much in the way of defenses, although this bot blob is now starting to move. And those have some AA, they don't have any snipers. They do have a number of docks, so if these guys overcommit, they could easily get taken out. We have a few more kestrels ready to assault this base. Ghillies now under attack, but they can actually shoot through terrain, so that's an advantage for the ghillies that they have over the docks, who can still get blocked by the terrain. Now pulling back. More bot factories being tacked on. The advanced air doesn't seem to be doing much except produce peregrines, who are good for keeping that air superiority and pushing back the kestrels, but are no use against these sniper bots. Docks are now moving out. Oh, he should have kept moving because he wasn't paying attention here, but yeah, I couldn't have known that. More advanced bot factories being produced here by the Marshouman team. Nuke is halfway done, is not being assisted, but it looks like these guys are going to give some assist to something, probably the nuke. Yep, they are assisting the nuke. So that nuke is definitely gonna be a big game breaker for the Callisto team. More aggression coming down here. Looks like the defensive third line that had been established earlier is now down. Commander is sitting at the edge of the base, so if those ghillies move slightly closer, they might as well start sniping the Commander. They are now being counter-sniped. Yeah, and they are pulling out by the look of things. There's only the one ghillie left, so you might as well. There's another team already on the way to assist the squad that was in position. Well, at this point the number of ghillies does seem to be favoring the Callisto team. Also a defensive line that has been established here by the Superouman and Marshall team. Not that they seem to be doing much at the moment because, well, there's nothing moving that way. Looks like the Callisto team is contained mostly to their bases. They are trying to move out. A number of bumblebees that is going for the base. Trying to bomb the Commander. Commander is at about 50% health, so would probably use some repairs if he can get them. Nuke is now very near to completion. Nuke has actually completed, so I assume it's going to be launched very near to this point. The best position would be here, because if they launch it here, then they can take out the Commander in a single blow, since it's already so low. But everything is going to depend on nuke placement. If they place it well, it's pretty much a win for them. If they place it wrong, it's going to be more effort to actually win this. They are still very much ahead, so nuke is now moving. It's going to impact this base, and the Commander seems to be moving to the center of the base. And considering the fact that the Commander is already at half health, he's probably going to die in a single blow to get rid of most of this base. These Spelters also having a really fun time trying to take out anything they can land their hands on. Commander is now moving away again. Oh, but the nuke was going straight for the Commander. They realized it was there and they went straight for it. Yeah, and that's it for Commander 1 for the Callisto team. So Commander 2 is still in the game. But if you look at this planet, you see where the map control is at. And the map control is definitely not at the Callisto team's favor. So yeah, not the most ideal circumstances for them, definitely not. Actually, to be completely honest, I don't see any way they can claw back from this one now. One Commander down, a base down as well. As you can see, there's not much left here. The advanced bot factory is still here, but most of the economy has been brutalized. Number of peregrines trying to take out these kestrels. Good choice. If you can land those hits, you might as well try and do that. Let's actually take a look at the economy. Yeah, there's a pretty substantial hit that the economy of the Callisto team is taking. Next nuke is now being rushed out as well, and it's not going to be too long before that actually finishes. Do they have any kestrels as a backup? No, but they have lots of snipers. And if they launch that nuke properly and take out most of the snipers, they can just move in and finish off whatever hell is left in this base, especially the Commander. Let's take a look at this nuke. Yeah, very near to completion, about 1/8 that has to be done still, but other than that, it's pretty nearly done. Ghillies now having a field day trying to snipe the army that's moving here. Slammer is getting taken out, more ghillies getting taken out. Oh, these fighters, these poor fighters, they landed in the middle of that engagement and they got sniped to high heavens. Number of ghillies now favoring the Callisto team, and they will probably be able to finish this off. Yeah, they are finishing this off. The Marshall and oh, the nuke is coming in. The nuke is coming in, and the Commander was ready to quite a number of hits. So I think this is GG. Yeah, it did in fact is GG. And to make sure this was actually GG, they sent in a number of bumble.